If everyone you loved was suddenly getting killed by horrifying aliens, what would you do? They can shapeshift into anyone you know, and now nobody can be trusted. I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the aliens in Parasyte. This kid has no idea that he's supposed to die. Shinichi here goes to sleep after a hard day and puts on his headphones when suddenly this insane alien sneaks into his room. But Shinichi wakes up in shock to this terrifying creature as it tries to burrow into his arm and make its way to his brain. Thinking fast, this kid ties his arm up until it turns beet red. Because of his screams for help, his parents come running in to see what's going on. But just like that, the hole in his arm disappears as if it were a horrifying dream. The next day, he goes through his usual routine, but realizes that he feels different. He's about to cross the street when suddenly a car honks its horn at him, and he takes a few steps back. He then looks back at the road and sees a little girl running into traffic chasing after a ball. In a matter of seconds, this tiny little girl is about to have her blood paint the sidewalk. Without realizing it, Shinichi's body moves on its own and jumps out in front of the car to protect the girl and blocks it with his hand, completely destroying the car, but he's totally fine. He looks at his hand in shock and sees a horrifying eye staring right back at him, and then it disappears. Shinichi then runs home desperate to find some answers. He takes out a knife and gets ready to cut off his own hand. In horror, he sees his hand transform into an alien and it speaks. Okay, I no longer have full control over my own hand and now something else is inside and controlling it. And right now, I'm suddenly starting to wonder, am I hallucinating an alien that's coming out of my hand? Because this sounds something exactly like a science fiction novel. And I would rather believe I'm infected with a specific kind of virus that can cause visual hallucinations instead of an actual alien now living inside of my own hand. We live in Japan, and there just so happens to be a virus in rural areas of Southeast Asia and the Far East, known as the Japanese encephalitis virus. And this virus does in fact cause hallucinations. And while symptoms could appear, this virus can cause mild to no symptoms in certain people in the very beginning, which could explain why I'm now starting to trip balls with seemingly no reason whatsoever. Also, every 2 in 3 people who catch this virus, on average, go on to develop more serious symptoms. And this could explain why I'm suddenly feeling fine and now hallucinating an alien living in my hand. In order to preserve my sanity, I would ride this hallucination train and see what the hell this alien has to say. Because in the best case, my hallucination is full of shit and I can go to the hospital and endure several months of painful recovery. And worst case, my hallucination isn't a hallucination and the doctors won't know what to do and contact the government and now have me shipped off to Japan's version of Area 51. Shinichi is horrified as hell and this alien tells him that it has taken over his arm forever. But then it suddenly goes to sleep, leaving Shinichi more clueless and terrified than before. He spends the whole night trying to find out anything that he can on this alien. When morning comes, he wakes up to see his hand attached to a crazy creature breathing. Shinichi thinks he's in a nightmare, but this alien explains to him that the horrors have only just begun. It says it doesn't know where it came from, only that it had to take over his brain, but apparently got stuck in his arm instead and failed. It warns this kid that if he tries to tell anyone about this situation, the government will probably capture him for horrifying experiments. Did I not just say that? Dang, I'm good. This alien mentions to Shinichi that since they're now stuck with each other, they should work together for now. In the morning, Shinichi's family hears on the news about more horrifying murders that have recently started popping up in Japan. Later, while out on a walk, Shinichi's alien friend senses another alien creature nearby. Shinichi freaks out, but the alien tells him that finding answers to what's going on will help both of them. They confront the alien and find out that it's inside a dog's body and that this creature is hungry. Shinichi's alien tells him to get to cover and the two prepare for Shinichi's first battle. But to their surprise, it ends quickly with Shinichi's alien killing this one by taking out its heart. The kid's alien tells him that they won this time because the hostile alien wasn't able to merge properly with its host, giving Shinichi a valuable edge in combat, and that this is something he should remember for later. Okay, while this may seem insane that we have an alien residing inside of our hand and somehow our body is not rejecting it, on Earth there is a little devil known as the Spirometra tapeworm that can do the same thing that this alien is doing, living inside the body of a human without causing bodily complications. The Spirometra tapeworm can live inside of the brain of a human for up to 20 years without causing any problems. And this actually happened to a dude in China. In a way, Shinichi should be grateful grateful that his body isn't rejecting it, and this alien isn't able to take over his body or spread little larvae inside of him, which, by the way, the tapeworm known as the Tinea solium can do. This tiny little honey bunches of oats can burrow itself inside of the body and can cause infection from the larva that this parasite has. Imagine this little darling bringing little larva babies into the world at the expense of your body, causing organ damage in the lungs, brain, liver, and a bunch of other nasty crap. At the moment, we know that the alien cannot fully take over Shinichi's body, which means we should put aside the thought of trying to remove it and instead focus on working with him, because from what we saw of how the two interacted during that fight with the dog alien, they got lucky. There are other ones out there like them that aren't going to be so easy. They need to learn to work together and fast. Shinichi realizes that he'll die if he doesn't team up with this alien and begins to call it Migi, and then finds out that the gruesome murders happening all over Japan have started to happen all over the world. And this girl says that the police here are trying to keep things quiet, but videos of these murders have leaked onto the internet. According to Migi, the aliens feed on whatever species they inhabit. The alien invades a dog, it now eats dogs. The alien invades a human, it eats humans. Shinichi realizes that these murders mean that the horrifying alien invasion has already begun worldwide. After school, Shinichi takes a walk when suddenly Migi senses another alien headed straight for them. And this time, this alien is a stone-cold killer. Migi demands that Shinichi gets the hell out of there, but instead this kid walks toward the killer. Migi calls Shinichi a crazy bastard, but this kid is determined to stop this alien invasion all by himself. And that's when they come face to face with this alien, and they prepare for battle. But this blonde baddie then reveals something terrifying and says that Migi can in fact invade his body instead, and that all he has to do is to kill Shinichi before he goes. This guy cuts off his arm and leaves it wide open for Migi. He demands that Shinichi dies and raises his tentacle to kill him, when suddenly Migi blocks it and slices him to pieces, shocking Blondie and Shinichi both. Migi tells Shinichi that it simply didn't trust this alien and decided not to join him inside of that body, and tells Shinichi to cool it on the bromance. The next day, Shinichi celebrates his victory by living his life ordinary, and his parents tell him that they're leaving for a few days on a hubba type of a trip, and Shinichi leaves for school. But later Migi pops up again with more bad news and tells Shinichi that it senses another alien nearby. Shinichi's hairs stand on end as him and Satomi head into class nearby. In the hall, Migi tells Shinichi to stand guard as the alien nearby is looking for them, and they realize that the alien close by is in fact their new substitute math teacher, Ryoko. Okay, this is some serious Texas chicken bullshit, but there's something up with this scenario that makes me think that we're not as doomed as Shinichi thinks he is. Now, thanks to Migi, we know that these things are officially a race of aliens that have floated down to Earth from unknown origins, just like little dandelion seeds floating in the wind, and they act similar to the parasite tapeworm Tinea solium, and those things burrow themselves inside of the body and try to take over the central nervous system. But these aliens, once they take over a human host, are instinctively driven to hunt and kill humans, and they seem to act similar to a virus, because this thing at the end of the day seems to be nothing more than a brainless, non-living freeloader who will kill us at any chance it gets unless it seriously wants something from us. And here's where I think we still hold all of the cards. This alien has infiltrated our school to the point of being an employed teacher. Being this deep undercover within the human population is not the norm, and means that this alien has an agenda. Otherwise, why else would it go through all of this trouble when it could just attack everyone right here and now? This means that this alien is different. It wants something. Until it gets what it wants, it's not going to attack us. Otherwise, it would have done so already. For the time being, as long as we're surrounded by dozens of students and faculty members, this alien isn't going to touch us, even if it desperately wants to. And we should use this opportunity to confront this thing right after the assembly while we're still surrounded by witnesses. Shinichi spends the day sweating buckets, wondering what this horrifying alien Ryoko is up to, but later runs into her at this cafe and is offered a peace treaty. She introduces another alien friend to Shinichi and mentions that she wants to maintain her cover because she is pregnant. This chick has begun horrifyingly steamy experiments with this dude trying to create half-human, half-alien babies just like Shinichi, and says that they both should not get in each other's way. But this alien dude, who looks dumb as bricks, says that the peace treaty is stupid, and he leaves and prepares to kill Shinichi very soon. The next day in class, Shinichi studies when suddenly both Ryoko and Migi warn him that trouble is coming. It's the dumb as bricks dude. and he's coming to kill Shinichi. But this time this kid prepares to stand his ground and sets up a mini shitty fortress that doesn't look all that impressive. But this cold-hearted killer is ruthless and surprises him through the window. But Migi quickly tells Shinichi that these aliens think humans are too scared to fight them, so they'd never expect Shinichi to try and kill them. Migi then sets up a plan, giving this kid a weapon, and tries to keep the alien distracted as Shinichi cautiously tries to go for this monster's heart. They work together in harmony until Shinichi manages to stab this alien right in his soft spots, and blood spills everywhere. And this alien walks off to die. Later, as the school cleans up the mess, Shinichi leaves the area and runs into Ryoko again. She's pissed as hell. She mentions that the school fired her for just what happened and blames it on Shinichi. She prepares to skin him alive, but he begs her to listen to him for 1 second. He mentions that Migi feeds off of his blood and tells her that aliens can survive without killing humans because of this. But Ryoko thinks that it's simply natural selection, killing off humans. But then she realizes something. Shinichi is becoming more alien than human and thinks Migi will soon take over his entire body. She goes away and leaves Shinichi behind, and he wonders if it's only a matter of time until his human side dies. A few days later, Shinichi enjoys life without his parents at home when suddenly he gets a call from his dad. He says in broken words to Shinichi that his mother is dead and mentions that a horrifying monster did it, and the call suddenly ends. Shinichi is frozen in shock, but Migi shows up and tells him something even more terrifying. It says that the monster alien who killed Shinichi will likely come for him next, and the two prepare for the horrors that are about to show up at their doorstep. No, this is so not fair. This should be party time. The parents are out of town, and it is now turned into a real Debbie Downer. Here's what we know. We know for certain that the enemy Parasyte is going to need at least half a day's ride to get to us. We know where our parents went. The alien coming for us is going to take a few hours minimum to reach us. This means we have some time to prepare. These alien Parasyte things, while hard to kill, can be killed. As we saw with the dog Parasyte thing, these aliens rely on the host's body's capabilities to an extent. Just like dumb as bricks guy from before, puncturing their vital organs or severing the head is enough to kill them, which makes them arguably similar to humans, which means we just need a clear shot to kill. It's noted that our daddy said a monster killed our mama, not monsters, plural, which means we know for a fact that we're up against one alien bastard, and this alien bastard simply needs to have a knife plunged into his soft spots, or we can go a little extra with our methods, because we don't know anything about this alien or its host. So I'd say let's up the antics and go on a little more flammable measure. If I was Shinichi, I would go to the nearest gas station and fill up some containers full of gasoline. Next, I would do the Google and buy the biggest water gun that the store has, preferably a super soaker of some sort, and fill it with gasoline. From there, I would buy some thin glass bottles, motor oil, and some leather gloves, and use the fabric shirts in my house to make some Molotov cocktails. Next, when back home, if I was Shinichi, I would turn on the gas stove and begin heating up a bunch of knives from the kitchen for however long we've got left. The Parasyte is all about self-preservation and keeping itself alive, which means its system will react to any sort of heat being placed on its skin in a negative way, causing it to overreact and make mistakes. This alien will freak out at the induction of a heated weapon, plus having its entire body set on fire. It will be too preoccupied to focus on us. We'll get a warning from Migi once it's near. While Migi keeps it busy, we will soak the bastard in gasoline at a distance first with our water gun. Then we'll use our Molotov cocktails to set this guy on fire. Once we find an opening, we'll stab this thing in the heart with our red-hot knife. Migi is highly intelligent and will easily be able to help us out in setting this up and coordinating the plans to take this alien bastard down. Shinichi needs to get off of his ass and start preparing. The next day arrives more sinister than before. Shinichi wakes up to Migi telling him that the alien killer is right outside. He's shocked and grabs a knife to prepare for combat, waiting in the shadows until he comes face to face with the killer. It's his mom. Realizing that the alien has taken over his mother, Shinichi panics and stops Migi from attacking, just as he gets stabbed through the heart, collapsing on the floor, and sees the cold face of his mother reacting with no emotion. She leaves the two to die right there as Migi thinks fast, and it does something insane. It merges with Shinichi's heart, forcing this little wuss's heart to keep beating. Shinichi miraculously begins healing as Migi slowly brings him back from the dead. Days pass when Shinichi finally wakes up and feels almost better than human. He suddenly gets a call from a faraway hospital where his dad is resting and prepares to go to see him as soon as possible. He opens the door and waves goodbye to Satomi, and this kid prepares to go to fight his demons in the flesh. Meanwhile, Shinichi's dad at the hospital is horrified to to learn that his wife is not dead and has been spotted around town. The dad said he saw Shinichi's mother get brutally murdered right in front of him, but the doctors think he's simply gone insane. Shinichi finally arrives and the dad, all pumped up on meds, tells him to chill out because everything is fine. But Shinichi knows everything is not fine and shit's about to hit the fan. He decides to stay in town for a few days to watch over his dad, but that night Migi reveals something horrifying. It tells Shinichi that because Migi merged his entire body within Shinichi's, this transformation has come at a terrifying cost. Migi has begun to pass out every day for 4 hours and will now not be able to sense any bad guys that try and attack Shinichi or his dad during this time. Okay, this could be a serious problem. Shinichi's physiology has been altered at the cost of Migi. The extreme amount of effort needed from Migi to save him now forces Migi to need a literal power nap every day. This sucks. Now I gotta worry about what I'm gonna do when Migi goes to sleep. What we have to figure out as soon as possible is that does it matter when Migi goes to sleep? Or does he really only need a nap whenever he gets completely tapped out energy-wise? How much does it take out of him to augment Shinichi's body whenever he fights other aliens? How quickly can we get Migi tired? These are the things that we need to know. We gotta figure out how to get as much done as possible when Migi is awake, because now we have to come up with alternatives on how we protect our daddy. If Migi's nap time is dependent on its energy usage, then I'm gonna try to use him as little as possible and find a spot where we can hide up in for a while whenever Migi needs his nap. We don't know when that alien scum is gonna attack our father. This means until we get a workaround on this thing, we'll effectively be on edge 24/7 and it sucks. Now the most obvious period of time to strike our dad would be during the hours of the night, when the hospital will be the most empty. However, knowing the alien, entering the hospital during the hours of the day will be the best time to strike, as this will allow it to enter and blend in through bigger crowds without arousing too much suspicion. And picking the least obvious option to attack during the day will be likely when it chooses to strike, as this thing is one sneaky mother of a pearl. Therefore, we gotta figure out Migi's nap times right now. Migi is my ace in the hole, and I need to be able to use him whenever a crisis arises. The next day, Migi suddenly senses an enemy at the beach nearby. Shinichi rushes like hell and prepares to take out his dad's attacker, but all he finds is this guy, the least alien hybrid ever, and they realize that this guy is just like Shinichi, a parasite human hybrid with a big mouth, and I mean that literally. Big Mouth here works near the hospital that Shinichi's dad is in, and he happily offers to warn Shinichi if any enemies show up near his pops while Migi is sleeping. This guy is one lonely dude. Later, Migi points out something interesting and mentions that earlier on the way to the beach, Shinichi ran and jumped like someone with superpowers. But Migi tells him something even more insane. Migi declares that its cells are now no longer just within Shinichi's hand. After restarting Shinichi's wussy heart, Migi's cells have now spread all throughout this kid's body, making Shinichi stronger, faster, and less human. Just then, he gets a call from Big Mouth, and he tells Shinichi that him and his alien friend have spotted a horrifying parasite. But Shinichi knows that these creatures are smarter than anyone thinks, and he tells Big Mouth to get out of there before he gets his clumsy ass spotted, but it's already too late. Shinichi runs as fast as possible to find Big Mouth, but Migi suddenly gives Shinichi a sword before it passes out again, leaving him all alone for the most terrifying fight of his life. He suddenly hears Big Mouth's screams nearby, falling over this cliff. Shinichi shows up only to find his worst enemy instead, his mother, or what's left of her, a mindless alien ready to kill. Pissed off, Shinichi slices and dices this alien bastard, but at the last minute, he chokes looking at his mother's loving eyes. So nice. Right. This alien bastard then takes advantage of Shinichi's weakness and prepares to kill him right then. But all of a sudden, an injured Big Mouth comes back from the cliff and brutally kills Shinichi's mother's alien corpse once and for all. Big Mouth then mentions that aliens think little of humans and they repeat their fight patterns since they think most humans won't test their skills. This is their weakness. The gang saves the day and his dad is all better. Shinichi takes his family back to his hometown, but this is only the beginning of his horrifying transformation. Shinichi realizes that he's now become even stronger and faster than before, as if he's evolving. But something's not right. Shinichi asks Migi for advice. He's starting to feel less human and hasn't been able to feel any emotions since he came back from the dead. But Migi thinks that he's just becoming a more efficient human. Okay, this is some serious Baskin-Robbins 31 flavors type of bullcrap. Shinichi here has started to feel weird, and I wouldn't put it past him to think that what's happening to him is a direct result of Migi's diddling with his body on a cellular level. But here's something crazy to think about. What Shinichi is experiencing, in terms of feeling like his personality has changed, could actually be rooted in real-life science. We don't know the exact methods through which Migi saved Shinichi's life, but we do know what he effectively did was an organ transplant to some degree. Migi basically transferred some of its cellular DNA into Shinichi's body, healing Shinichi using cells from its own alien body. But here's where it actually gets kinda crazy, because Shinichi could be feeling like his body is changing due to a concept in science called body memory. Body memory is the medical hypothesis, not yet fully proven, that suggests that not just the brain, but the body itself is capable of strong memories on a cellular level. Think about how crazy that sounds for a second. Think about it. Because the rundown of this whole thing is that personality changes following organ transplants have been reported by patients for nearly decades worldwide. And these reports have varied from people claiming that they've had changes in emotions, changes in identity, and inheriting memories from their donor's life. Now, I know this sounds crazy, and while this isn't considered 100% scientifically validated or properly understood through any type of scientific lens as of yet, this could be one theory to help explain how and why Shinichi is experiencing changes in his state of being. And let's not forget, Migi's genetic code is clearly something that has not come from this planet, okay? We don't know yet if what Migi has done to Shinichi is going to end out well long term. The next day at school, Migi senses another alien monster headed right for them, but this one is different and catches up to them during gym class. He introduces himself as Shimada and mentions that he only wants Shinichi's help. This alien race has begun to look for ways to coexist with humans without eating them, or so he says. Migi doesn't trust this guy one bit and pulls Shinichi away, mentioning they'll think about this guy's offer. Later, the police send guys to check in on Shinichi's dad. They tell him the truth, that more and more deaths have started happening around Japan, and the government knows that horrifying aliens are a real threat. The dad tells them what his alien attacker looks like, and the government prepares themselves for a threat never seen before. The dad fills Shinichi in about what really happened to his mother, as Shinichi silently listens, keeping his alien secret close to his chest. But Glasses Girl begins to suspect this Shimada kid over the next few days, and her gut tells her that something is not right about this guy. One day, she notices this dude get hit in the face with a baseball, and he horrifyingly fixes his skull in front of her eyes. Shocked, she follows Shimada into town and sees him transform into another human. This girl's mind cracks, and she prepares an acid trap the following day at school. But Shimada senses her plan and transforms into a horrifying flesh-eating alien right in front of her eyes and prepares to eat her right then and there. But this chick throws the acid right in his face, distracting him while she escapes through this window. Outside, the football team sees Glasses Girl fall, and she tells them what's really going on. Shocked, these kids run inside the school to find this alien, but unfortunately for them, they all get brutally sliced apart, horrifying everybody nearby. People start freaking out, and this alerts Shinichi nearby. He then decides to play hero and goes to kill Shimada before he murders anyone else. The police reach the school, but they are no match for Shimada's horrifying powers. Migi then offers a smart plan to Shinichi, and he runs up into the building next door, and he waits for an exhausted Shimada to walk out. Just as this alien freak busts open the rooftop door, and Shinichi puts one stone-cold hole right in his chest, killing him dead. Okay, this is some Little House on the Prairie type bullcrap. Due to his Parasyte's core physical preservation mode, his cells, as a result of whatever Glasses Girl did to him, means that Shimada's body had begun to freak out, trying to protect him from internal damage. This freak out of his cells means that Shimada lost control over his Parasyte's cells, and this was likely the only reason that Shinichi was able to kill him, as his senses and body's motor control were a little distracted. This is also why Shimada walked out onto the rooftop still in alien mode. Again, this shows whatever Glasses Girl did to him truly made him lose control of his alien cells, as he was unable to disguise himself to turn back into a human, or well, look like one. Now, while what Shinichi did was smart in the short term, realistically, Japan's finest would have probably been able to trace that rock thrown back to the direction of the building that Shinichi was standing on when he threw it, and most likely could have caught him while going up that building through any nearby CCTV footage, and or caught him directly in the act of turning his arm into an alien arm. This move was way too risky and could have exposed his secret. He should have opted to blend in within the crowd instead. It's noted that at the battle with Blonde Dude from earlier, we won that battle as that alien didn't expect us, a human, to fight back and actually attack it. This is one of the other weaknesses that these aliens face. They suffer from
some delusions of grandeur.
They suffer from the fact that they think they are more powerful than they really are, and because of this, no human will dare attack them, and that is what we can use against them. Going under the radar and using these aliens' confidence against them would have been the smarter move. Shinichi should have opted to confront the alien nearby within the school itself. Migi was able to detect his location and could have retraced the bloodshed leading into the initial room that Glasses Girl was in. And from there we could have seen exactly what caused Shimada to freak out all of a sudden within that room, because all the screams and killing came from the top floor of the school, which means Shimada was calm and in human form leading up to that room. And that means something caused him to lose his instantaneously. Going to the top floor room and seeing the acid bottle that Glasses Girl left and or driplets of it dripping on the floor means that Shinichi could have known that from that, Shimada was badly injured. Migi would have known this because Migi's body and Shimada's alien body have the same physiology, and we could have used this knowledge to confront Shimada as he tried to make his way to the roof and killed him right there, using some sort of sharp object that we find along the way. While the key component of this plan is simple, killing Shimada at close range with an improvised edged weapon, it still would have allowed us to use the excuse that we ran into him and killed out of result of self-defense. At least this is what we could have told the police. This would not have given away our alien secret to the police once they got their forensic team to examine Shimada's body, and we could have turned all the attention that would have been on us into simply a kid who got lucky and lived. We ran into this alien by accident, and we got lucky by killing it in order to save our lives. This would have been the better move to cover our tracks into killing Shimada, and would have been the best move in order to keep our alien secret safe. The government is horrified and tries their best to keep Shimada's alien BS a secret. The next day, they discuss the ongoing alien invasion and what terrors they must plan for. But this doctor has a genius idea. He tells these guys that the public should know about these creatures, and he's found a clever way to tell humans and aliens apart. If you pull out a strand of Parasyte's hair, eyebrow, eyelashes, that single strand of hair will melt within a few seconds. Unlike a piece of hair from a human, this is how they'll be able to tell who is an alien and who is a human. But these politicians don't realize that these horrifying flesh-eating monsters have a terrifying plan of their own. Meanwhile, Shinichi is walking in town when he stops dead in his tracks and looks. Within this crowd, he and Migi realize that these 6 people running for government office are all parasites. And Migi tells Shinichi that the end of the world is about to begin. These parasites have begun to take over the government of Japan, and it won't be long before they take over this country and eventually the world.
And if you don't want to be taken over by wriggly aliens, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and check out the How to Be playlist down below. And check out next week's video. We're gonna do something crazy, something different. It's gonna be hella fun. Peace.